Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chapter 11 of the Manga Melee Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jay, and today I am joined by my slightly taller than average co-host, Peter McGinn, once again. How you doing, Pete?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing today, Jay?
Uh, Pretty well, pretty well. Kind of a slow week for manga, but, honestly, I got to, kind of catch up on some of the Shonen Jump stuff I have been slacking on, and Vinland Saga, which I'll talk a little bit about later because there's a lot of news about that actually. And yeah, pretty good. What have you been up to this week?
Ah, man, not a whole lot. I did some bopping around yesterday, and then today I bought a new computer so I could play video games all day since it's been raining since like 8 a.m. So I was like,
Nice.
perfect. I needed a new computer anyway. This was the perfect excuse to pull the trigger and finally upgrade my stuff. And I found a really nice deal. So been doing that, and then I'm gonna be catching up on some anime and manga as well later tonight.
Yeah, I've been catching up on Summertime Render. I watched. Have you started that yet?
I
Actually,
haven't. I'm watching it after Golden Kamuy, and I am no longer 5 episodes away. I am now 3 episodes away from finishing season three.
ooh, we could have some slight spoiler talk about that later. Actually, I would be curious to pick your brain about that. Kind of sell Golden Kamuy to some more people.
Yeah, it's getting
Um,
it's getting real good. I can't wait for season 4 in October.
Especially because the anime just gets like better and better every single season. So I have full faith in them to do the same thing again.
Yep, me too. Just there's been like nothing bad about that adaptation. At least from as an anime only, I've been loving what I've been seeing.
Yeah, as someone who read the manga, I think that the manga is definitely like the superior version of it, especially like the certain scans I was reading that gave a lot of like insight into the cultures they were visiting and stuff like that, as well as like a lot of those characters are references to real life people as well, which is very interesting.
Yep.
And some of them, for instance, Ogata is actually a reference to like an American sniper and stuff like that,
Oh, I did not know that.
which is why he has the hair that's like slicked back. He's based off of like that sort of idea of an American sniper.
Oh,
But
okay. That's really interesting. Actually, I like when there's like
yeah,
some
no,
in-depth stuff about characters and like
yeah,
why they're made, the look a
but
certain
the
way.
anime is still definitely like I understand that you can only show so much in an anime, and they've released a lot of like OVAs of stuff that they cut out of the anime, so they're kind of making up for it, I suppose. And fans have released guides and such for people who are interested in going back and reading what they missed anyway, so it's not like anybody's super missing out. It's available.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So with that out of the way, I guess we should just kind of hop into it, huh?
Let's do it.
The first thing that I really want to talk about was something that both of us kind of came across in our on our Twitter timelines this week, which was there was a lot of drama going on Twitter surrounding the editor of the Shoujo Beat uh, Tumblr and Twitter, Nancy, and some stuff that they had said about concerning reprints of certain series that people are finding hard to find nowadays. Would you
Yeah.
like to kind of explain what happened there, Pete?
Sure, I can do my best from what I know. I bet there's somebody out there that knows way more than me, but I can only base off what I saw really on Twitter since I have only been recently getting more into the shojo sphere in terms of like creators. Shout out to Colleen. I'm a big fan of her and her work
Yeah.
with showcasing some shojo stuff. But from what it sounds like, people were wanting some of these really popular shojos from either like 90s, early 2000s that were printed then and haven't been reprinted since. And the shojo beat editor was more like, oh, we'll just like buy it off of like a used website, or why should we reprint it? You could have bought it back then. And it's like, well, I was 6 years old and my allowance was $5. That's why I didn't buy it back in 1994. Something along
Yeah.
those lines. She then deleted the tweet because of the backlash that we've gotten. And yeah, it is kind of frustrating because I think with a lot of like say shonen properties, something like Naruto will get reprinted 37 gazillion times, One Piece. But then when you have stuff like Brasa and Seven Seeds and like Red River, these like super popular shonen titles that have been printed once, uh, and now when we see a resurgence of manga sales, like in general, it's been blowing up, and people are craving more. We want to see these titles that we've never been able to read before legally, and kind of just like the response to like the fans was, it didn't seem like a good like PR stunt if you're trying to like get cred from the people. So it was kind of
Yeah,
like, I was like, what do you mean go back and buy it then? I think somebody showed a tweet of like one of the Barasa volumes on like eBay is going for like $1,200. Like that's how hard that volume is to find. It's like, so it's like, yeah, we're a little frustrated that we can't like get these titles printed for us again when we were clamoring for it. And then we saw something like Kodansha announced that they are more than likely reprinting things like GTO and Mushishi. And it's like, well, why can Kodansha reprint these like 90s, early 2000s stories and Shoujo Beat can't? So lot of commotion going on around the social media of like the shoujo and josei area that I found really fascinating, just because it shows how passionate these people are, that they want to
yeah,
support, like they want to support Shoujo Beat. They want to support, I think Shoujo Beat's under Viz. So it's like they want to
yes.
support like the physical print of manga, and the response to that is just a little disconcerting with like how you treat the people who want to support you.
Right. And for those of you who might be wondering what the context of it is, essentially, the person who runs the Shoujo Beat social media has been running it for, I think, like 7 or so years now, something like that. It's two people, but there's one in particular who answers a lot of the like fan questions and stuff in general, who goes by Nancy. And essentially, they got a ask on Tumblr that was about discontinued series, and I will now quote them on this ask. I got an anon ask in my inbox about our discontinued series being picked up again. Simple answer is no. The year we discontinued a few series was when Borders went out of business and the manga market crashed. When series don't sell well, we take the financial hit. Several publishers did not make it through the crash. When people don't buy manga, the publisher takes the financial hit. So it's really important to purchase manga in a timely fashion. Now I'm going to be a meanie, because sometimes I am. Did you not buy that series we published over 13 years ago, 10 years ago, 8, 7, 6, 5? Now, maybe you were one of the few that did. That's amazing. You have great taste in manga. I'm not talking to you. But for all the other people who didn't buy it back then and think they have another chance at it now, no way. I don't feel sorry for you. You had your chance. We absorbed the losses because you didn't collect when we were publishing it. What it also did is make publishing something new in the particular genre or by that mangaka more difficult, because the booksellers know that you didn't buy those series. I'm also looking at all the holdouts from a series ends or those surreptitiously waiting for a box set. Again, only 4 out of 100 plus Shoujo Beat series have ever had box sets. You can do that, but those series not being available when you finally get around to collecting them is a risky take. No one knows you want a particular series until you purchase it, and when the series are gone, they're usually gone for good. Editor Nancy. End quote. I think like I agree with that last sentiment about people waiting for a series to finish or waiting for a box set. I feel like if you're into something that's not like a super mainstream shonen or something similar to that, then you should support series as they're releasing. But I wouldn't blame anybody. I'm 26 years old to age myself here. I did not have any opportunity or buying power to purchase manga until after I was like until like 8 years ago or something like that, more or less. Just because of my circumstances in life. I literally never had the opportunity to purchase any of these. I didn't even know most of these series existed because I didn't have internet access until I went to college. So, what am I supposed to do here? I know maybe I'm not necessarily the person that they're complaining at for this, but at the same time, there's many people like me who were, especially with like Pete said, the resurgence in manga and shoujo manga, especially nowadays. Like, there's a whole new generation of people getting into the shoujo say market. Like many of us just never had the opportunity or even knew these series existed because also Viz did a shit job at advertising them. They didn't advertise them at all compared to like Naruto, One Piece, etc. You know?
Yeah, it's when you look at it from, say, when we were either kids or teenagers, the anime that at least I was familiar about is whatever was shown on Toonami. I didn't know what a josei was. I didn't know what a shoujo was until we had like the day and age of databases like Mal and social media to like show us these different titles and makes me more aware. So like of course, even say I had the spending power back when I was 6 when these titles came out. I didn't know anything about them because we didn't have access to knowing about them, and now we do. And you see this, you see the public outcry of these people who are so passionate about a specific demographic of manga. They're like, hey, we're reaching out because we want to support you. And how it came across to me just felt really unprofessional.
Yeah.
If this was like a
I
Twitter shit post, it'd be something completely different. But if since it's like an editor at Shoujo Beat, kind of putting off this like a little elitist, it seemed like at this, and like a little like
don't use the Shoujo Beat account as your personal account,
yeah,
more or less, is my thing.
yeah,
Like,
for sure. And it just seems like really when you have somebody at the helm like that, it makes you like to me like look elsewhere. Like if this is the type of person that you're employing, do I really want to like support you when we're trying to support like the industry? And to me, that's like where it's kind of like off putting. And I just I mean, there's a reason why like the tweet was deleted and stuff like that. It just seemed so out of character for a major publisher to say something like that, or an editor, someone who represents the
yeah,
publisher. Just
especially for as long as they've done it. You know?
yeah, and like I get it. Like you, like for someone like I'm assuming the person who is the editor has probably been reading slash watching like shojo josei stuff like their entire life, and they
Yeah,
probably feel like a different level compared to other people because they have been supporting it for so long. But that's more the minority, and to me, it seems like a great opportunity to showcase what you have out there than rather than just like the new and up and coming stuff. While that stuff is great, um, it's just there's a there's like a need for people to read classics. There's a reason why people still buy like Vagabond or Berserk or these older titles that are being reprinted because every day new people come into the market, and now you have this collective group of not just new people but people who are in the market wanting to buy right now if you provide them with those resources, and they're just like, well, you should have bought it in 95, and that just seems like a really off like
yeah. It's like the market share of manga in the United States was like hundreds of times less
yeah.
back then.
And like I get like
You,
a deluxe version where it's like a one time thing. I get printing that like a few times or one time. But like standard like paperback print, I don't understand like the reason why you wouldn't want to try to reach out in that market and print just normal 9.99 manga volumes, because you really don't need, if like some random generic isekai can have 2 copies on Barnes and Noble, like there's like a reason why there's only that many copies. You could probably do that with certain shojo and josei titles. So it's just frustrating to see like that market be so willing to put money into their pockets, and they're just like, no, we'd rather reprint whatever or not print anything. I guess they do print like newer stuff, but
yeah. I mean, it's like if you don't serve them, then they're going to go spend money somewhere else. Like the shojo fan base can spend money and does spend money on shonen stuff. Like, you know, just a large reason why some of these shonen are so popular nowadays, I feel in America at least, is because they're like women love a lot of these new shonen, whether it's My Hero, Demon Slayer, Haikyuu, JJK, any of those popular ones. I mean, I'm willing to bet a large reason why Tokyo Revengers is popular is because it's, you know, it's got husbandos for girls, basically. Like,
Have you ever watched like those videos on YouTube where they like interview Japanese people like, "Hey, what anime are you watching?" Have you ever seen like those videos by any chance?
no, I haven't.
Oh,
I'm curious though.
it's kind of like the like, "Hey, what are you listening to?" type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Those
yeah.
videos. So there's like those in Japan, and like a lot of the time, the girls who are answering are saying either like Jujutsu Kaisen or Tokyo Revengers. Like there's a market. Like you can tap into it. You just have to go for it. And then I don't know how that views compared from like Western wants compared to like Japanese wants, but to me it
Mhm.
just seems like it's a no brainer. Especially for me, I used to do like data analytics for years, and to me like the numbers are all pointing to like we should invest in like reprinting Red River. Like let's do it, even if it's just a couple 100,000 copies or something like that, where each Barnes and Noble gets like 4 copies. Like I
Print
think it's
QQ Sweeper Volume 1, damn you.
yeah,
It's the only one I need.
I think it's like worth like the investment to, if it fails it fails, but like that's part of like business. Like you have to test the waters, and to me
Or
like I get they tested the waters back in 95 and it didn't do well, but now we see this resurgence of collecting physical manga. I think I saw something like Barnes and Noble since 2022 has increased its manga sales by 214%. Like the market is there, like you can
yeah.
tap into it, and it'd be interesting to see if it's like a matter of like space on the shelves. Like, okay, we are allocated 150 series onto a shelf. Which one do we pick and choose? That'd be something really interesting to see. But to me, it doesn't seem like, why does the generic isekai, as soon as the anime come out, already have 3 volumes at Barnes and Noble, and then something. I mean, it's like really rare for like a shojo to have multiple copies on the shelf. Like, I'm lucky that Kageki Shoujo has 7 volumes. Like, I love that, but like I
Unless your
would,
name like Fruits Basket,
yeah,
like
right. But like even stuff like Sailor Moon isn't on like Barnes and Noble shelves. There's like the omnibuses, but like there's really not much selection to choose from on of these titles, and I wish there was, because I would personally buy, if I saw Barasa, which is talked about all the time on Twitter, if I could go out and buy a box set or a volume, a few, for like a reasonable price, I would do so. And I know that's just my opinion, but it seems like I'm not the only one in that boat.
it's Basara, by the way.
Basara, sorry.
Oh, no worries. I just don't want someone to like go at you on Twitter or
That
something.
shows how much I know about it. But like I want to know more about it. I
Agreed,
can't
agreed.
get I can't get the opportunity to do so.
I would love to be able to physically support these series, but like the vast majority of them, I pretty much have to settle for scanlations because I'm not going to spend $1,200 on a set of like 10 volumes or
Exactly.
something like that.
Yeah, like
I'm sorry.
the
That's a down payment on a car.
yeah, for sure. Like I think I saw like someone was selling like their entire like Red River volume set. I think it was like 20 some volumes, and it was like $1,400. It's like I would love to collect that, but I'm not spending $1,400 for 20 volumes. Sorry.
Yeah. And you know, if they're gonna just sit on it, then they should just give it to like indie publishers or something like that for the English releases. Like, I feel like that's kind of a big thing nowadays. Like they're giving licenses for the English versions of printing to more diverse offerings and stuff. And I guess that just kind of shows that Viz is they're losing as far as the publishing stuff is going right now. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Seven Seas, Yen Press, and Kodansha in general are just all doing better than a lot of this stuff at the moment.
Yeah. I guess, are you familiar with like digital stuff as well? Because like I'm not super familiar if I could like go on like a Kindle and buy these as well. I feel like that's
Yeah,
also an
you
issue.
can.
Okay.
You can. Um, that's where I read the first volume of QQ Sweeper. I had to
Okay.
get it on so if you have a Shonen Jump login, you can use that for the Viz app in general, and the Viz app also has like the digital Shoujo Beat stuff that's available on
Okay.
there.
Gotcha.
But you have to buy the Shoujo Beat stuff. There's
Gotcha.
nothing on there for free for Shoujo Beat, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. So like there are ways.
There are ways to consume it digitally and support digitally for
Okay.
sure.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Up next, we got Duran. Duran Ron is ending. Duran Duran. Whatever, man. Fuck this.
It was not hungry like the wolf, that's for sure.
Duran Duran is breaking up. I don't really have much to say about Duran Ron. Like, it's fine, kinda, I guess. I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. I think it's like 38 chapters in, or something like that, maybe.
I saw the cover for it, and that was immediately like, I just noped out of there. It's like I have no interest in reading this title at all. Not even like to the point where not even giving it a chance. And
Yeah, it's like another supernatural battle shonen type deal, from what I understand. So
yeah,
if you're
don't need
not into
another one of
that sort of
those.
thing, yeah, there are better offerings in the magazine for that. And then we got Dai Tokyo Onio Midon is starting. It's a rom com about a demon girl getting married. It was previously a one shot. Feels like it's kind of filling that Ruri Dragon shaped gap we have going on right now, sadly.
That
Uh,
that is
go,
a property that I will probably give a chance.
yeah,
Where
same.
it has what I'm looking for. The cover art looked like really nice as well. So I'm looking to see if that matches, if the cover art matches what I'm going to see in the manga, because I haven't read the one shot, so I'm going in essentially blind, but it checks all the boxes for me where I at least check it out.
Yeah, I think it's good to see Shonen Jump still diversifying what they got going on between like this Ruri Dragon and Akane Banashi.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because if you notice, like some of the some more samey stuff that they've been doing, kind of immediately sinks to the bottom of the TOC, as we'll talk about later.
Yep.
We got Land of the Lustrous ending soon, as well as Vinland Saga. I'm not sure if you've read the manga for either of these. I'm
Ooh.
currently catching up with Land of the Lustrous.
Got my manga right here. However,
Nice.
I have not read past where the anime ends, but it is on the plan to watch, or sorry, the plan to read. And yeah, I mean, it seemed like from when I watched the anime, it didn't seem like it was going to be like a long lasting series. So right now, I think in English print we have 11 volumes. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be like 13 volumes in total, which makes sense, I think, for the story. So,
Where
uh,
does it end in the where does the anime end with volume?
it ends in volume 5. I want to say 4 or 5.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we essentially have like another season of content if they want to ever make it, but
Maybe when Beastars is over.
yeah, maybe.
Because Beastars has like what, one season left?
Yep, we're getting one more season and then we're donezo.
Nice. I mean, not nice that it's like. I'm nice. I'm glad that it's like getting fully adapted, I should say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they change the ending because I know a lot of people did not like the ending of
Yeah, I've
Beastars.
heard mixed reviews of the
Yep.
ending, to say the least.
It's not.
And
It's
we
not.
also,
It wasn't like it was like a consensus terrible, but like you said, mixed, which sucks because I really like Beastars and I would love to see how it ends, just
well,
because the
from what I understand, she was like really set on ending it at exactly 200 chapters or something like that. So that kind of like puts it in a bit of a bind, I suppose. If you,
okay, that's don't know how I feel about that.
yeah. Again, that's just something I heard. I'm not sure if it's necessarily true, so
Okay,
grain of salt, but it could be. So,
heard it through the grapevine.
yeah, that's what a friend of mine who is a big B Stars head said, and I trust him on it. But if he's wrong, somebody let me know, and I'll mail him a box of like cockroaches or something like that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Um, And then we also got Vinland Saga ending soon. I actually just caught up with this last night. I was like 4 chapters behind, and I can kind of see how it would be ending soon. I give it like 10 or 12 more chapters probably.
Oh, okay. How long was like the
Given that
farmland arc?
the farmland arc, it was pretty long, honestly.
Okay,
It's one of the longer arc. Like that's definitely gonna to give slight spoilers for the second season. That's definitely gonna be the whole second season is going to be farmland.
gotcha. I wasn't sure if it's like
Yeah.
One Piece where it's like, yeah, we have one arc left, and that arc is Wano, so it's like, okay, we still have 4.5 years of content left. So,
No, Vinland has been in its last arc for a minute now, actually. Like, the thing that they set out to do, they've been doing it, is what I'll say.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Yeah. And essentially, I think the final conflict kind of just started. Um, Thorfinn's morals are definitely getting tested a lot. Uh, or more by morals, I should say his like philosophy of nonviolence and stuff like that is getting tested a lot. It almost reminds me a lot of I don't know if you've ever watched like Trigun.
No, I haven't watched it. It was on the plan to watch. Then once I saw that it's getting remade by
Yeah.
Orange, I was like, I'll just wait for it to come out.
A big part of Trigun is the main antagonist. Well, arguably main antagonist. I'm not sure if he actually is Knives, like sort of challenging Vosh the Stampede's like militant pacifism by showing him like, hey, if you don't fight people, like I will fucking kill people essentially.
Sure.
I always appreciate the kind of character that can like challenge a hopeful protagonist and like I don't know, you'll see this it'll happen in Golden Kamuy at some point for you. I'm not sure if you've gotten to that point yet, but it's a really great scene and yeah.
I have not. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So anyway, people should read Vinland Saga before it finishes. That shit's great. Buy it too. It's in beautiful hardcover
Oh yeah, those hardcovers
volumes.
are those are nice. I wish
Yeah.
more series had those, but I mean,
And
real nice.
yeah, I mean you got the Berserk ones. It's hard to beat those.
Berserk is let me. Speaking of super nice hardcovers, the girl from the other side, new
Still in the
deluxe,
shrink wrap.
still in the shrink wrap. I'm gonna read it. Don't worry.
Where'd
This
you
is
get it from?
I bought this off Amazon, but this is
Gotcha.
one of the nicest hardcovers I've ever seen in like my entire life. It's so beautiful. It's like the gloss from the gold on the cover is just it feels
That's
so
Seven Seas, right?
this is Seven Seas, yeah. It feels so
Yeah.
good just to hold in my hand. Yeah, they've been killing it.
They're doing the best job at like printing
Yeah,
like
they got the
quality special editions right now.
yeah.
They did the Tokyo Avengers volume I showed off in the last episode too, which is really nice, like nice for a paperback for sure.
Yeah. Them and like Dark Horse has the Berserk ones, but then they also have like the Helsing ones are fantastic. And then they have was it like Sword in the Stranger or something like that. They have another one that's just beautiful hardcovers. I wish more people did that, especially like series that are like 6 to 12 volumes that I can get like 5 or 6 hardcovers. Oh, that I would love to add every single one of those to the collection, and that's another one that's going up on the
Yeah,
shelves.
give me some Call of the Night hardcovers or something like that.
That would be oh, you could do so many cool things with just like the art is. I feel like it like stands out. It just feels so much better to hold in my hands. And that's why I like love owning physical manga. I love how it feels in my
Yeah,
hands, and these
same.
are no exceptions to perfection.
Well, and also like, you know, we were talking about how hard it is to find some of these things nowadays. Like, I don't know, I want to be able to read stuff whenever I can, and sometimes things get taken offline, and nobody can take my volumes away from me, but unless they
Exactly.
physically take them from me.
Yes. Someone go dox Jay and steal all of his manga.
Please don't. In other news, we got Lycoris Recoil getting a manga adaptation. The anime is recommended by famous video game maker Hideo Kojima, who made Metal Gear Solid, for those of you who might not know.
I would love this in hardcover because it's probably going to be 4 volumes, probably 3, 4 volumes. Shouldn't be too much, and you could maybe do it in one big old omnibus, and I'd spend
I'll even take
$35
like a
for it.
little box set, even.
Yeah,
Like,
little baby box set, like they
yeah.
do with like a Quince. Quince has their box set broken up into 2, and
Oh, that'd be cool.
I would love to own just like a little baby box set.
Yeah. I need more people on this show. I know it's like one of the most popular things right now, but I hardly ever see anybody on my timeline like talking about it or anything. Because I guess it's not quite as flashy as a lot of other stuff, but goddamn if it's not just good fun. Not it like you'd think it would be very fan servicey just by like looking at it. Like you think they would be like weird about it, but they're really not. Like it's pretty respectful most of the time. Like we said, the most fan service we got from in one of the last episodes was like
The
somebody
handstand.
like a the handstand, and also like the whenever Chisato was admiring Takina, like that happened as well, and like it was done in a respectful, like female gaze sort of way. So very different than a lot of the other fan service we're used to seeing. I'm very appreciative of this show. I'm glad that it's getting some shine online and stuff like that.
Yeah, it does a great job of bordering adding fan service for like the eyes to see, but also being respectful in the same way. It's a great balance, and I mean it gets people talking about it. Our Discord talks about it like every Saturday. It's a great show, and I'm really intrigued to see how the art, like whoever does the art for it, if it pops, maybe it'll be better than because the anime is pretty good looking in terms
Yeah.
of visuals. So it'll be interesting to see who they do for the art for it and see how it looks. Because something like, because this is an anime original, so they kind of have some like freedom to do how the art that they want to. Kind of like how the Baka Monogatari manga is doing it. It is a little
Oh
bit more
yeah.
unique compared to, even though the anime is super unique, the artists definitely put their own twist onto the art, and it is stunning. It might
Yeah,
the
Oh Great is a fantastic artist.
Yeah, the manga art might actually be better than the anime art, which is saying a
That's
lot
the
because
person who did Air Gear, right?
I I never touched
Yeah,
Air
that
Gear.
that is the person who did Air Gear.
Okay, yeah, it
Yeah.
looks wonderful. So it'll be interesting to see how these or anime originals that get adapted into manga turn out, because sometimes they're clones. Like Darling in the Franxx was
Um
very copy paste from the anime, and then something like Bakemonogatari was very unique and had their own twist on the art.
the manga is being done by Yasunori Baizen, who is, if you ever heard of Towa no Kwon, it's a short film series, I believe. Um, they did that, and it looks pretty good. I think that they should do a pretty solid job with it.
Yeah, I will probably buy. I'll probably buy it just because I enjoy the anime so much, just to have in my
Yeah,
collection.
yeah. If it gets an English release, which
Oh,
hopefully it should.
I'm assuming it will.
And then we also got Undead Unluck confirmed to be getting an anime. I don't think we got a studio announced yet, but we did
We
get an
did.
anime. We did? Who
Yeah,
is it?
it's David.
Oh yeah, I freaking
Remember
forgot. I predicted that
you
shit.
predicted it last
Yeah.
episode. You hit it right on
Yeah.
the money.
Sorry, I have terrible memory.
No, I also, which was, I mean, I didn't even think about David. You mentioned it on the last episode. I was like, oh, they're perfect for it, and then
Yeah.
the prophecy was fulfilled, and now David is doing Undead Unluck. So I'm jacked. I hope we get like 24 episodes. It'll be interesting to see how much we get.
Yeah. Super hyped for that. I don't know. I think David has the potential to really like kind of zhuzh up the anime for compared to the manga, if that makes
No,
sense.
for sure.
Like, not to hate on the manga's art style or anything like that, but I feel like it could get a lot out of that crispy animation that David is more than capable of if you've seen like Fire Force as well as some of the more fluid parts of JoJo. Like they're definitely not afraid to get weird with it. And what I like about David is that they're just great at adapting. They're a good adaptation studio. Like I mean, I've said before that I think they would do a great they would do Berserk justice, and I think that they'll definitely do Undead Unluck justice as well.
Well, if you could manifest that next time, that would be wonderful.
I'm
Nah.
beaming it into the CEO of David Productions' head. I'm sure he would or I shouldn't assume the CEO is a man. I'm sure they would love that to do Berserk. But, maybe once Berserk ends, we might get an anime announced again. I think they're kind of nervous about ever doing it again after 2017.
Yeah, I mean look how they massacred my boy. They
Who was it
ruined
who
it.
did that?
Uh like 4 degrees Celsius or something like that the studio's called. Some like
Some nobody.
yeah, some like random CG studio that I don't even know exists anymore. Yeah, they ruined that real bad.
It's so sad. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Lead in Films.
I don't know if they're an animation studio.
It's a Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was the production, and then Gimba was the animation.
Oh,
My bad.
yes. just
The
some
only they've only
unknown.
done the magnificent Kotobuki. Besides for that,
No idea.
I don't know what this is either. So that sucks.
Yep, it
That's
does. As
terrible.
a Berserk
You know,
fan, it's awful.
yeah, I know I'm really in time to say this. Like, this is very topical. Like, people are still talking about 2017 Berserk 5 years later. So, yeah. We
It's
also got a,
it's a meme.
sorry.
It's a meme, bro.
Yeah,
Just watching some of those scenes is just like it's like
the one
it's
where
like Ghost Stories dub, but like not funny.
Guts, like, I almost called him Berserk. The one where Guts just like turns around and walks away. He's just like moving up and down on the
Yeah.
camera. It's like Jesus
And
Christ.
they also Berserk 97 adapts the Golden Age in 24 episodes or 25 episodes, and then it's like, oh, this next arc that's like twice as long, let's do it in 12. It's just like, god damn it,
Horrible,
awful.
horrible, horrible. We also got quite a few leaks this week, which was interesting for potential anime. Some of these are a bit more concrete than others, so we'll kind of do them in order, most likely. So up first, we got Friaren at the Funeral,
Love
or
it.
Friaren Beyond Journey's End,
Yeah, they
as it's
changed the
called in.
the English. Yeah,
I think Friaren at the Funeral is a lot better of a title personally, but Beyond Journey's End is good too.
I wonder if it's like
Um,
they did some like testing, and it's like which name sounds better, and most people like they want to read a story about a funeral. Beyond
yeah,
Journey's End definitely sounds more like an adventure.
yeah, they probably wanted to play more or around more with the like people love the D&D party aspect of it
Yes.
in the West, I'm sure. Who would you want to animate this is my question.
Great question. I saw people talking about this online. I would want Studio White Fox. They do ReZero.
ReZero, yeah.
Yeah, I thought White Fox seems right up that alley of adventure fantasy style with some like cool magic and fights every now and then. Yeah, I'm a lean White Fox for this one.
I think Brains Base would do a great job with this too, actually. Studio behind Natsumi's Book of Friends, Durara, To Your Eternity, Hollow and Spice, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, they
Spice
definitely
and
have.
Wolf, I should say.
Yeah, I guess I would definitely think it's more. It's definitely more To Your Eternity than ReZero, I would say, in terms
Yeah,
of story. So yeah, that seems like a pretty solid choice. Yeah, I
but
wouldn't mind that at all.
yeah, I think they could still do some of the like, because it is a series that should have some moments of like Sakuga with the magic and stuff like that when Friaren is flexing and whatnot.
Yeah, chapter 21, one of my favorite manga panels of all time, could
That's
be
goaded.
just that scene could stand out. You just need the right animation studio to showcase that like the brilliance of that manga panel
I
essentially.
think that whoever voice acts Friaren, that could be a career defining role if they do it properly as well.
Yep, it's one of those characters where for the most times she's like shy. I should say shy, but
She's
uh,
more reserved than
reserved.
shy.
But when she opens up to people, she's very silly. Like her whole thing is when she does missions, she wants to be paid in spells, but the spells could be anything. The spell could be how to turn like green mushrooms blue. She would want that as a reward. She wants to know that spell. So she has like this silliness side to her mage persona where but
Big
also
nerd.
huge nerd, but at the same time when things get serious, she gets serious. And
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be great to see. I can't really think of a VA right now, but I think it could be because this series sells like hotcakes in Japan. I think it's at like 8 volumes and it has like 9 million sold, which says a lot. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing when this does get animated. That hopefully it blows up in popularity. I don't think it's a. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it now, just so it's on the record. I think this will like do Spy Family numbers just based off of
Yeah,
what I've seen. Like
I agree.
I think when the anime drops and a new volume gets released, you'll see it hit 1 million in sales for a new volume.
She'll be the like girl of the year and whatever like if it's done well, she'll be Girl of the Year for when it gets adapted to, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, it's a great story. If you're a fan of like Lord of the Rings or like these fantasy adventures, I shouldn't compare it to Lord of the Rings, but think of like fantasy adventure with like a ragtag team of like newbies type of thing. It's a fantastic story. The current arc that we are on right now is mind-blowingly good. It is such a good. I don't want to spoil it, but I really want to spoil it at the same time. Essentially, there's a character who is immortal and is having a hard time understanding that concept and how he views himself, whether he is like evil or good, or like what he should do with essentially the power that he has, is a great internal conflict that I don't see in anime or manga. And it just keeps getting better and better as this person reflects, along with Friar and herself, because she is essentially like the most powerful mage of the land. So it's a great dynamic between these two just incredible characters. And we wouldn't get it for the anime, but goddamn, if you are reading it, you need to catch up. It is so good.
I'm gonna catch up soon.
It's
I got a few other. I got so much stuff I need to catch up on.
it's because for like in terms of Friar, and I love the beginning arc. The middle was okay, and where we're at now, it's just been like leaps and bounds above what we've read. So it's like if you get hooked on the first part, just keep going through it because it sets up to be an incredible story.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I think that there's a certain moment really early on that will be like near the equivalent of Rock Lee dropping his weights. That will happen, if you know what I mean
No,
by that.
I see. I view it that way. I think people might think that's preposterous, but to me, it's like one of the best manga panels I've ever seen in my entire life. It set what it
Are
averted
you
my own
talking
expectations.
about the one that got edited in the manga club we did, or are you talking
Yeah,
about the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
one?
yeah. That
Okay,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah, 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 yeah. I got you.
I love that scene.
It's an insane scene.
I think it's so powerful. It- It's just so good. Read Friar in if you haven't, people. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
definitely read Friar. We also got Mission Yozakura Family. Got leaked that it's probably going to have a manga or an anime.
Anime,
It
yep.
has a manga already, obviously. I actually haven't really looked into this too much. Let me go ahead and pull up a description for people who
All
don't
I
know
know is
much about
Rifle said something that it had like panty shots and stuff. I'm like, I'm out.
this. Let's see. Oh. All right. So, high school student Taiyo Asano has been socially inept ever since his family died in a car crash. The only person he can properly interact with is his childhood friend Mutsumi Yozakura, the head of the world's strongest family of spies. Mutsumi's eldest brother, Koichiro Yozakura, has been overprotective of her ever since he once rendered her severely injured. His love for Mutsumi is lethal, and Taiyo is his next target. To survive, Taiyo must marry Mutsumi and become a member of the Yozakura family. Thrown headfirst into chaos, begins his journey to become a powerful spy in order to protect his wife and uncover the dark secrets of his past and the Yozakura family. Honestly, that sounds kind of decent.
Sounds like
Like,
Nisekoi.
I've never heard of Nisekoi. Well, actually, I have heard of Nisekoi. I just don't know much about it. Is what I should say.
Nisekoi is like two rival Yakuza families have their kids essentially marry each other while they're still in high school to like or to like bond, like to stop the conflict between each other type of thing. But like it has to deal with like the Yakuza and stuff. But that's more of like a harem rom com. This one seems a little
Is the anime good for Nisekoi?
no. Okay,
Oh,
well,
that's
okay.
it has like a 7.6
It
on
has a
Mouse.
it has a go read the manga ending, so
Ah,
that's why I say no. But it is
gotcha,
kind of like it's like a harem staple essentially, which isn't
gotcha.
saying much, but
Yeah, no, it really isn't because I'm sure Rent a Girlfriend is considered a harem staple
unfortunately,
nowadays.
yes.
Ugh, I had somebody telling me to read that today. I wasn't sure if he was memeing or not, but
For the sake of your psyche, I hope they were joking.
he's an epic memer a lot of the time. So I think maybe he was memeing because he called it the Better Call Saul of harem anime. Or
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, let's pump the brakes. That-
you see, Kazuya is a lot like Saul Goodman in the way that both of them are pathetic sacks of shit.
Except one is a character I enjoy having on screen, and the other one I want to
Yeah,
hopefully
the other one,
drowns or something.
yeah. Oh God, hopefully. And then we also got, and this is large grain of salt compared to the other one. It's mostly based off of a Twitter follow, as well as one leaker who tweeted a UFO and a cow symbol. We believe that people have reason to believe Don to Don is going to be getting an adaptation by Studio Wit. Me and Pete talked about this a little bit before the pod. Wit would not be the worst studio to do it. I had some somewhat strong words about it. I was being a bit hyperbolic. Uh, I don't know. I just think that like the non My Hero side of Bones would do a fantastic job with it, like the mob psycho part of it,
It,
something like that. I don't know.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. Don Don is very mob psycho esque, especially in the fight scenes, and I think also in terms of the dialogue as well. It's kind of silly. It has its moments. I think Don Don's a little bit more silly compared to Mob
Yeah.
Psycho. If that part of Bones did it, that would probably be my number one. But
Well,
Wit
Pete,
recently has done like a lot of good stuff.
isn't Mob like a lot sillier in the manga compared to the anime? Didn't they kind of like change a bit of it?
Uh,
Not that they made it. I'm not saying they made it bad or anything like that, because I've heard like, for instance, they made Regan a lot sexier in the
I mean, he
anime.
is a sex icon.
Yeah, I mean they turned him into that compared to.
I well, I think that there's a couple things. One, the art of Mob Psycho is terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
The web
yeah,
comic, the manga's significantly better than that. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. I think there's a couple studios that would do it. I think Wit, while not my number one choice, they have had in the last few years have been like absolutely on fire. They did Vivi, which is incredible. Great
Ranking of
Pretender,
Kings.
Spy Family, Vinland Saga, Ranking of Kings. Like they haven't missed in a while. And one thing for sure is that the animations for all of these have been spectacular. So I think it's a solid choice. It wouldn't be my number one, but it would be interesting to see what they do with the project because I know Wit set up another studio inside of their own studio, essentially like another team to do more lesser known shows to showcase, and that's what like Ranking of Kings was. Uh, Don very popular in Japan, getting more popular in America. I think it'll be way more popular once it gets an English publication. I think it was confirmed that it's getting one too. So I think Wit good studio to do this. Not the best, not the worst.
Yeah, that's about where I've that like after some thought, that's kind of where I fell on it too.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with that. But I think that we'd probably be waiting a bit. Like it only has like 60 chapters or so made, which is enough for one season, mind you, but I don't know.
Yeah, like do they want to make this season and then wait 3 years and do season two, or do they want to wait for it to have a couple hundred chapters out and then pull the trigger on it? I can see that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably going to be they'll make a 12 episode season and then like 3 years later we'll get the second season. I think that's kind of where
Yeah.
I'm leaning.
I think they like it's pretty average for that sort of thing to get like to have like 90 or so chapters before the first
Mm-hmm.
season of anime, I find. Um but Dandadan has it surpassed a lot of expectations already, so maybe they try to push it along a bit faster to advertise the manga more.
Yep. I think it was at like I think the last episode we said it was at like 1.7 million copies, which is good. So could it do like a Chainsaw Man s thing where because I think a lot of people who like Chainsaw Man are going to really like Don to Don,
For sure.
and I think they can
100%.
get
I
eyes
mean,
on the prize.
he was an assistant for Chainsaw Man and whatnot, so
That makes sense.
yeah. And then yeah, so that's it for the news. Pretty small news week, honestly. We got some reprints that are coming out, including all the volumes of Pun Pun are getting reprinted, which is sick. Those come in some pretty nice hardcovers as far as I'm aware too.
They are. I can't
Or,
grab them right now. I have them behind me, but they are really nice, which is great because it took me forever to find some of those volumes, and they're really hard to find even now. But getting a reprint is wonderful.
yep. And we also got Welcome to Demon School, Arumakun getting a reprint. I've heard a lot of good stuff about
So
this,
good.
honestly.
It's so good. If you like Saturday morning cartoons and you were a kid, this is the now Saturday morning cartoon. It is a hilarious, fun, good time show. It's I can't recommend enough. It's getting a third season, I think next season as well. It's
This shit does numbers
yeah,
too.
it's really
Like,
popular in Japan. It's not that popular in America in terms of manga, I think. I think the anime is pretty popular, but I think in terms of
yeah,
manga it doesn't sell like anywhere near as it does in Japan. Cuz I think in Japan it has like it's in the millions of copies sold, and it's yeah,
yeah.
every new volume is like 500,000-600,000. So yeah, it's pretty popular.
And then we also, as you mentioned earlier, uh, we are getting potential reprints of Mushishi, Great Teacher Onizuka, and Genshiken, which I am so hyped about Mushishi and GTO getting reprinted. I would love to have some physical copies of GTO, especially.
Same. I love GTO. I would love to collect it, and if they get it reprinted, I'm 100% buying it.
Hell yeah. And Mushishi would be sick too. I've never actually read the Mushishi manga, but I'm sure it's solid.
Yeah, Mushishi. Just from what I saw, I'd rather watch it. I think that's like an with Ayashikis. I really enjoy the ambiance with like the music itself. Where
Yeah,
I'm sure the manga definitely portrays like the emotion that it's trying to put out, but I'm a big fan of healing anime, not healing manga.
makes sense. I can definitely understand that. And then we got a couple sales updates. Aoyashi has 15 million copies in circulation.
That is selling
And
like hotcakes.
yep.
It's insane. It's doing like I know it has like 20 some volumes right now, but it's doing like 2 million a month right now. It's wild.
The anime really gave it a large boost,
Anime is
honestly.
really solid. If you're a fan of sports anime, it's probably the best soccer anime I've watched. Which isn't saying much because I think a lot of the sports or the soccer animes are pretty mediocre. I think like people resonate with like Captain Tsubasa, but
Mhm.
that hasn't really done well in the West. I think the newest Captain Tsubasa was a CG movie, so
Isn't
it.
that the one you watched?
I never watched all of Cap. I've watched some of Captain Tsubasa, but you're thinking of the Prince of
The-
Tennis movie,
Oh
which is
yeah,
all
yeah, yeah.
which is a
Similar vibes.
masterpiece. It is a
Similar vibes.
the Prince of Tennis movie. He gets isekai'd, and it is a crime drama about tennis. It's
He gets
incredible.
isekai?
He gets okay. I guess technically time traveled, but like, well, it's hit or miss. It could technically be isekai. We don't really know, but more time travel than isekai. I would probably lean, but it is wild. But yeah, Awashi, great sports anime. I've never touched the manga. I don't know if it has an English publication, to be honest. So I haven't really seen it on the shelves if it does. But yeah, check out Awashi if you're a fan of sports anime.
And then we also got Parasite by Hitoshi Iwaki has hit 25 million copies and so are in circulation. Which honestly, I should check this out. I enjoy the anime mostly because the OP is a ridiculous slapper.
Yep.
I've heard a lot of good things about the manga. It's a little bit hard to get a hold of in the United States, though, especially some of the earlier volumes. So I'll have to look around for that.
That it's I saw the cover for it and it reminded me of like old school like Devilman where the
Yeah,
anime is a little bit more polished, it seemed like. So
definitely
I
agree
was a
with
little
that.
confused when I saw the cover. I'm like, that's Parasite. Like I am way more intrigued to read the manga than watch the anime because the manga looked like a horror. Like that it definitely had that gravitas of creepiness like I see in Devilman compared to when I saw the anime cover. it just looks like, I don't know, a stereotypical monster anime or something like that. I've never seen the anime.
It's like a body horror
Mhm.
type deal. He's got like a alien parasite inside of him
Yes,
that
yeah.
he talks to and shit.
But like the manga seemed like it'd be more gruesome,
Yeah,
based off what I saw on the cover. So I would,
that makes sense.
if that ever got reprinted, I would probably buy that too.
And we got Togen Anki has reached 1.65 million copies for volumes 1 through 10. I know that I've heard decent things about it. It's got some pretty good covers too. Um, I don't know. Not really my thing. I know Krissa enjoys this series a lot. It's about got people who make like weapons out of their blood or something like that. Reminds me of like the premise reminds me of Dead Man Wonderland if you've ever heard of
Sure. Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I don't-
th- that Dead Man Wonderland does nothing for me. I've read the premise for Togenanki and it was like, nah, pass.
yeah, I don't really blame you there either. And then car racing manga MF Ghost
Yes,
by
sir.
Initial D creator Shigano Shuichi has 3.7 million copies in circulation for volumes 1 through 15.
Uh, Watching the anime specifically for the Eurobeat, I believe
Yeah.
it's coming out next year. The
For this? For MF
MF
Ghost?
Ghost is getting an anime next year.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's next year, but it's been announced that it's getting an anime, and
Hell yeah. I didn't know that.
they already announced that it's going to have a full Eurobeat soundtrack. So
Oh,
just because of
gonna
that,
be going nuts.
yeah,
Gonna be going
just because,
nuts.
like, if we can get another running in the '90s or something from this anime, I'm gonna lose it. I love
I,
Eurobeat. I love it
I'm
so
gonna be
much.
here for the memes people are going to release of cars doing ridiculous things to the soundtrack of this
Mm.
show coming out.
The cool thing about MF Ghost though is that the art style looks like it's still in like the 80s. So if
Yeah,
you
I
want
was
a
looking at that.
modern retro manga, it's really interesting how he does the art style. But for me, I'm going to be watching the anime.
Word. Yeah, I might wait for the anime too if it really is just coming out next year, thinking about it. But we'll
Running
see.
in the 90s.
Have you watched like the initial D series and stuff like
I
that?
have watched, I think there's like a recap movie that I've seen like two of. So
Yeah.
there's still like, I think I've covered like 20% of Initial D's content. So
I got a live action I got a DVD of the live action in like a mystery grab bag I bought
ooh.
the other day. So like Initial D feels like one of those where like that's reasonable to make a live action out of. That's
Uh,
just street racing.
yeah,
Like
for sure. Yeah, I like the anime. It didn't, since there's a decent amount out there. It didn't hook me enough where I wanted to finish it.
yeah,
But if it is as like a seasonal watcher, I can watch an episode a week of MF Ghost, like for sure.
100%. And yeah, so lots of really good reprints, lots of good sales milestones being hit this week. Like I said, I'm most excited for those reprints. I think it's super important that people go out and buy those if they do happen, so it shows Kodansha that, the because Kodansha, honestly, out of all the Japanese publishers, they've been the most like wanting to work with the Western market, mostly because of the success of Attack on Titan. Like they realized that it's something that can truly be like tapped into, and you should listen to your Western base at least a little bit when it comes to reprints and stuff,
Yeah,
which
I
is nice.
I think GTO is a great Western style show.
Yeah,
It has a lot of themes that people look for that would sell well here.
definitely agree with that too. And it might introduce like a whole new generation of people to GTO, which is such an iconic anime and manga, honestly, one of the greatest delinquent mangas of all time.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think I've read like a third of it, and it's one of the funniest manga I've ever read. But at the same time, it does like the Mob Psycho thing too, where like the themes that they're telling in the story are like real themes, but they do it in like a really funny and over the top manner because he's like this essentially former yakuza delinquent guy turned high school science teacher, and so that premise alone is hilarious and just the things that they get into. But they deal with a lot of like interesting stuff, like how they handled bullying in like the first couple of first like arc was really well done, where I felt the emotion of it, but at the same time I laughed my ass off. So it's a great story. There's just a lot of panty shots in it. It's definitely, you can definitely tell it was made in like the 80s and 90s
Yeah.
for that style of like ecchi, but the story itself is great.
Mhm. Would definitely recommend it myself as well.
Yes.
Let's move on to what we've been reading, and we can also cover what we've been watching this week as well.
Ooh, all right.
So, you been reading anything in particular?
Let's see. I got fully caught up to Oshinoko. Big fan
Nice.
of where that is going in the manga. I think it's setting
I still
itself.
need to catch up.
It's setting itself up. I wasn't a big fan of the last arc. For as high, I think the last arc was like its first miss for me, where I was been really high on Oshinoko. The last arc wrapped up maybe like 4 or 5 chapters ago, and I thought it was okay. It was like a 7 out of 10 arc. And but
Mhm.
what they set up for what's going on now, I think is probably going to turn into my favorite arc. So,
So,
huge fan of that.
answer me this one thing
Mhm.
as someone who. Let me tell you exactly what chapter I'm on. I can look at my mail and tell you real quick.
Okay.
So, I am on chapter. It should be one of the first ones. It is. Isn't it weird? Oshinoko gets to be the first one on a lot of people's mouths because it puts a
It's in
fucking
parentheses.
quotation
Yeah. Yeah.
mark
Quotation
around
marks.
it.
Yeah.
I'm on. Damn, I was only on chapter like 79 or
Okay.
so.
So you're
So I'm
you're wrapping up. You'll be wrapping up the arc in a few
okay.
chapters.
Gotcha. Tell me, is it going to be a Ruby arc?
See, this is what they always do. Is where
They always promise us a Ruby
they
arc, and
promise us
it
the Ruby
pisses me
arc,
off.
and then she's showcased in like the first 2 chapters, and then she dizzles away. So far,
And then she asks Big Brother to fucking do some shit, and
yeah.
he's got to break bad or whatever the fuck.
I have my fingers crossed really tight that from what Ruby has been showcased that she stays on. So right now, I'm like 35% sure it's a Ruby arc.
Gotcha. I've heard Mimcho has been showing up a
She
lot more too,
has.
which I'm a big fan of. I
She
love Mimcho.
she has a couple cool scenes so far where she's kind of she's getting a little curious. I'm a big fan of that.
Nice.
What else?
Like curious about what's going on with them?
Yeah, I
Oh
think
shit.
she's getting a little fascinated with Ruby in general, and she may have seen something that maybe she shouldn't have, type of thing.
See, I see.
Cobb on Berserk, as always. We're now on I think we're on like a month break before the next chapter. That was one of the best Berserk chapters I've ever read. I also started reading this spicy manga called Game Between the Suits. It is a office based romance, but it does really something really fun that I haven't seen in manga, where it deals with fuck buddies and how they deal with professional life because they're coworkers, but they're not in a relationship. And it's a little spicy, a little, what's it called? Like soap opera esque.
Yeah.
So if you are a fan of like Domestic Girlfriend
So
or
it's like melodramatic, is what you would say.
melodramatic and a little, I don't want to say it's like unrealistic, but they definitely like take something in like a real situation like fuck buddies, but then they make it way more drama heavy. But it's fun. It's spicy. If you're looking for something spicy, I recommend Game Between the Suits. And I think as of that, I have fully caught up on Koto Oto Tamare, which is probably my favorite ongoing manga right now. That shit is just absolutely incredible. It has 2 seasons of an anime if you want to go
Is
check
that like
them.
isn't that like a band thing?
Yeah, they play the kono, which is a traditional string instrument. You like lay it down. It has like
All of them?
all
There's
of
like
them.
I
So
was going to say there's like 12 people that
yeah,
I saw in that picture you
so how
said.
they change it is based off the length of it is how the sound changes.
Ah,
So there's some
okay.
people that play like the short string and the long string. And I was a little nervous to see how that a music anime would get translated into a manga, and because I love the anime, the music is so good, but the manga, holy shit, it is so good. If you're a fan of like group settings in anime or manga, whether it's like a sports team or like a club, this is honestly the best. I have it at a 10. Like I think it's mind blowing how good it is. I'm shocked that it's labeled as a shonen because there are so many shoujo tendencies, and when I see people talk about it on Twitter, it's a lot of the shoujo fans. So if you're looking for something new and it's just good. If you're a fan of music anime, just go or music manga, check out Kono Oto Tamare. I love it, and yeah, I think that's about it really. Oh, and then I caught up to A Sign of Affection, which is my favorite ongoing romance manga right now.
Yeah, for me, it was mostly just catching up on a lot of the Shonen Jump stuff. So caught up on Chainsaw Man. I'm liking the direction that it's going. Local Chainsaw Man hater Miles was even liking the new direction that Chainsaw Man was going as far as like character wise.
Yeah, do
He
you
appreciated
know
it.
why though? Because
Yeah,
Denji
because
wasn't on
Denji,
yeah, wasn't on screen.
and I mean, spoiler alert, but Denji did show up again this week.
Yep.
Still remains to be seen whether or not we'll kind of pass the POV on to him. I'm not sure if we will at this point. I think we'll get at least a few more with like Yoru and I can't remember the other girl's name.
Yeah, I think I'm
But
three chapters behind, so
yeah.
I'll
I
catch
mean
up soon.
that'll take you like 25
Yeah,
seconds to read.
no kidding.
Caught up on still huffing hard copium with Tokyo Avengers, hoping that he can Captain Phillips this plane crash of an ending in some ways. I'm not like okay. I'm the local Tokyo Avengers defender. I'm not gonna even lie. Like I enjoy the series in a lot of ways. I don't think it's perfect. I have it at like an 8 or something like that.
Hmm.
But I think that the the circle jerk of hate around it is a bit intense at times,
Hmm.
especially with the anime and shit. Like it's popular for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's not terrible. Like you'd swear it was the worst thing ever with the way people talk about it.
So true.
Um, I don't, I won't talk too many spoilers about Tokyo Revengers, but Takamichi is currently fighting somebody he should not be fighting. There are a few guesses. I know that narrows it down quite a bit, but it seems like he might be developing a sort of future sight sort of deal in combat now. Like that's where
Oh,
his time
interesting.
abilities are kind of going. Um
Okay. As somebody who's anime only, I kind of like that.
it kind of makes sense whenever you think like the way they've expanded his powers in the manga before, like they kind of expanded it to like a That So Raven style vision at points. Unironically though,
Sold.
like
I'm
it's a hard
sold.
it really was a That So Raven style vision and it like if you think about it, if Raven would have honed her ability, she probably could have been a combat precog and just like owned her entire universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm power scaling that so
I
Raven.
love it.
Who's got a problem with it? The
Not
only
me.
people she could solo the Disney Channel verse besides Wizards of Waverly Place. I don't give a fuck.
Yo, spitting right now.
Selena Gomez doesn't even have hands like that, as
No.
far as I'm aware. Uh, what was that? Yeah, I've also been I read Akane Banashi, which I mean that shit's just good as always. We're kind of we're reaching the part of the manga that we've all been wanting to reach at the moment. So I'm excited to see where it goes after that. Because she's kind of like in the room right now, getting ready to like tell the guy who exiled her father from Rakugo off, or at least ask him why he did it and whatnot.
Hmm.
So once that chapter comes out, I'm super excited to see where it goes from there. Because like this is a series that Shonen Jump is not going to want to let go of. It's
Nope.
doing very well, and I don't know. It just has a lot of potential. So I'm enjoying that a lot. Also caught up on JJK. I was like 3 or 4 chapters behind, mostly because it's just been a lot of fights lately, which I understand because it's more or less like a tournament slash battle royale arc. So it makes sense that there would be a lot of fights. But I just don't feel the need to necessarily be week to week whenever it's a lot of like raw fights, more or less. Even though the fights are cool, it's like I don't have to read this as soon as it comes out, more or less.
I actually like reading them in like batches because then
Yeah,
you have a yeah. Sometimes it's like especially with fights, I want to see like the whole fight in like a sitting or two. Where week to week, it's kind of hard to
kind of makes it
digest it.
go more in motion than
Hmm.
like just reading week to week. I definitely agree with that. And I mean, there are some series that I just only read when new volumes come out, and honestly, volume reading is pretty sick.
I love it.
Like it's a pretty cool way to read manga,
Yeah,
actually.
I'm a huge fan of it. I like reading, like sitting down, reading 6, 7 chapters, and be like,
If I
yeah.
wasn't like online, that would be the only way that I
Yep,
read manga, I
I
think.
agree.
And aside from that, also been catching up somewhat on Sakamoto Days. It's not completely grasping me yet, but I'm still kind of early on, so gotta let the engine get going, you know.
Gotcha.
And I'm also planning to start Blood on the Tracks soon because I got the first volume and I've
Nice.
heard lots of good things. I got Hastic to start reading it before I even did, and I recommended it to somebody else too because I don't know. It's one of those psychological thrillers that I see everybody put on like their top tens in the manga on manga Twitter. So I'm pretty excited to read that. It's heavy stuff though for anybody listening. So just as a warning, it goes into a lot of very graphic subjects and stuff like that. And what have you been watching this week, Pete? Tell me what your highlights have been.
If you are not watching Made in Abyss season 2, you are missing out on one of the best shows from this year. It is. If you thought season 1 was fucked up, season 2 takes it to a whole nother level. But they do such a great job at mixing like the beauty of life and adventure and friends with the hard struggle of discovering essentially like a new land. And it's been such a ride. It is going to be more than likely my top like 3 of the year. I'm leaning right now. It is just an absolute treat. Please watch
Just
Made in
below
Abyss.
Birdie Wing.
Birdie Wing. I mean, Birdie Wing is like, it's one of those shows where it's so good it wouldn't be fair if we put it into the conversation of all the other shows. So like
Really
Birdie
true.
Wing wins the Birdie Wing award, like because it's just so good. And then we have everything
If
else.
if you were to line up all the manga this year from one end of the earth to the other in a line of greatest to worst, Birdie Wing would not even be in that line. Birdie Wing would be a shining star on the horizon for other anime to look at and hope that maybe one day they could reach out and grasp at Birdie Wing.
Yes,
But they
exactly.
can't. It's too hot for them. They nearly burn to a crisp.
Other than Made in Abyss, which just fucking peak. Shadow's House season 2 has been so good, especially
Is
just
the ED as much of a slapper as the last
it's
one?
good. So the chick who did the ED last year is doing the OP for this season. Well, I think both the OP and ED are good. I mean, nothing compares to 9-9 like last year. So yeah, Shadow's House. If you watch season 1, you'll love season 2. Lycoris Recoil we talked about earlier. That anime is just a whole bunch of fun. And yeah, other than that, in terms of like standout shows, oh, since you watch it, episode 7 of Tokyo Mew Mew was awful. I've been loving this season, and episode 7 just killed it for me. It was so bad. I'm
What
so
was
upset.
what happened to that episode? I'm not sure. I
That's
might be a
when
week behind.
Ichigo transformed in front of her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's just like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "What do you mean, who are you? You were just talking to your girlfriend, and she transformed into a cat." So
Hold on.
big problem with the episode 7 of Tokyo Mew Mew.
He also is the one that like gave her the collar and shit
Yes,
like that too.
yeah,
Weird fucking
problem
weirdo.
problematic, and
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely problematic. Don't put your kink in public like
for
that, you
sure.
weirdo.
Yeah, and then I'll be finishing Going Kamui and starting Summertime Render.
So what has happened and we'll do some Golden Kamuy spoiler talk for season 3. So if you don't want to hear that, skip forward like 2 or 3 minutes.
So
What just happened where you're at?
the newest episode of Golden Kamui that I watched is we saw the backstory of the 3 Japanese people, and I think they're in Russia, and then they're like the photography episode.
Yeah, that was Sophia Wilk and Kiro,
Yeah,
right?
so we got
Yeah.
to see some of that backstory, and
Did they
Uh,
finish that backstory?
so yeah, they did where they went their separate ways, and then we saw like Asripa and the gang about to cross the ice path to get to Russia.
Did you see what happened with the photographer yet? Like, did he do his reveal yet?
All we saw, well, we saw some of it. We saw some, but like at the end of his last scene is like he's holding like his wife and dead kid, and
Yeah.
then he like takes off his glasses, and then they kind of like cuts away. So that's the last we
Oh,
saw of him. So I'm assuming he's about to go goblin mode somewhere.
I don't know. Maybe you might have. I think you may have missed the reveal that they did there by accident, but if you didn't, I
Well,
don't want
they
to
show who he
spoil it
is.
for you.
Like they show who he actually is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was an insane reveal for me. One of the best.
yeah, that was great. And yeah, we'll see him maybe go goblin mode elsewhere. But yeah, it's more of we saw that whole storyline and then them crossing the ice bridge to Russia.
Yeah. Ah, man, Gordon Conway is so good.
Really, really enjoying the season. I think I like
Do you,
season 2 more than season 3, but it's still like a 9 out of 10.
yeah. I like I don't know, the backstory with like Asirpa's dad and stuff is so good though. Like I really enjoy that. Do you have like any favorite characters that are standing out for you?
Ooh, who I'm liking Ogata a lot this season.
Assume you got his backstory already
Yeah,
with
with
like
his brother, that was great.
yeah, as well as his dad,
Yeah,
dude. Like talk
yeah, his whole backstory was really well done. I'm definitely enjoying him. It's because they're kind of broken up into two teams right now, so it's a little back and forth. Where
yeah.
I don't really know if I have like I definitely leave Ogata as like my favorite character for season 3. But it's fun seeing like we got like a glimpse of like Dick Sensei, who was my favorite character in the past, just for like
Hmm.
a quick like 3 minute battle scene. That was great to see too. So yeah, definitely leaning Ogata as my favorite character for season 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's my favorite too. I just love that guy. But he checks off like all the boxes for
Mm-hmm.
me personally. Like I just I love an evil dude a lot of the time. Well, I wouldn't call him evil. I love like he's better than the character who said this, but I love like a chaos is a ladder type MF, like
Yeah, I like a character where like I want to cheer for him, but at the same time he did some stuff in the past where like if he failed, it's like well maybe you should have done this stuff. So it's a great balance. He's just an overall fantastic character.
I also really enjoy like his kind of foil, the way he's kind of a foil to a Sirpa, and you'll see that in the next few episodes.
Oh
Like
yeah,
the way he starts talking about her is weird and intense, but also like goaded. Like I don't know, I'm a big fan. Like he fulfills a similar role to a character in Vinland Saga. I also enjoy quite a bit at a certain point, so
he
I
had a
think you'll enjoy that
he had a
too.
great scene with her where they're eating for like the first time in I think like a few days, and he's like he just like under his breath he goes Hina, and she's like, "Did you
Yeah,
just say Hina? Did you just say Hina?" And like she does like the Asripa face.
yeah.
Oh, it was so great when we had like this tense moment. It's cut with a knife by just saying Hina. Wonderful scene.
Yeah, honestly, Golden Kamui is the best at like having the most dramatic, emotional, like story. Like it'll have like a dramatic, emotional story about like a veteran coming home from war and nothing being the same, and then it'll like cut it with him getting like pissed on or something like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
in a completely natural way that's hilarious, and it's like, damn, that didn't feel like forced or jarring at all.
yeah. That was like the scene where they took like the horns and wrapped it around I forgot that dude's name, like around his neck, so every time he ran it would hit him in the
Oh,
nuts.
yeah, Shiraishi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just stuff like that is just so funny. Like
yeah.
I love this show.
I love Shiraishi too. He's just such a like he's a great comedic relief character, but he's also very deep in a lot of ways, which I appreciate. Um Actually one of the things cut out from the anime was his backstory, which is incredible. It is
Ah,
truly fucking
I would
incredible.
love to see that. Maybe they'll
Uh
an OVA or something would be
they
great.
might have an OVA of it actually.
Okay,
So
I'll have to
I'll
look
look
into it.
into it, but it's like his backstory is like a obviously based off he's the escape master, so his backstory is talking about like all the times he escaped from prison and like why he kept going back and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it is the funniest like I had like tears in my eyes laughing at the end of his fucking
Oh, I
backstory.
love that. I wish I could see that.
I'll send you the like. I'm pretty sure it's all done in like a chapter or something like
Okay.
that. If I can find the manga chapter, I'll send it to you later because
Dope.
it's fucking awesome.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think
But yeah, that's for me.
as
How
for
about
what.
you?
Oh yeah, for what I've been watching, been catching up on Summertime Render. I recently crossed the threshold into the second half where it stops being a it doesn't stop being a mystery necessarily, but it becomes much more action oriented because they're kind of on the offensive
Yep.
against the shadows. I don't know, man. Like I definitely liked it better when it was less action oriented, but and also the OP and ED were a lot better in my opinion,
Oh, did
but
they change it after
it's
like
still
the second
good.
part or something?
They did, yeah. After
Okay.
episode 12 it changes to a more the like the first OP is like really like it's like kind of like a dude kind of doing a little ditty on an electric guitar and
Mm-hmm.
like kind of sing clapping along. Like it's really summery feeling.
Okay.
And then the ED is like a photographic like it's like a video of an island like it's from a boat like a real life and viewing a real life island with like this kind of like deep emotional piano song in the background,
Okay.
and it fits the mood really well of like the melancholy of like which I'm feeling right now, by the way, the melancholy of like summer coming to an end and stuff like that. And the second ED is good too. It has really great visuals, especially, but it just doesn't fit the mood of the show as much for me personally.
Gotcha.
I won't be streaming it on Spotify. Unlike like I have both the first OP and ED like in my playlist.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. It's still good. It's just I probably dock it like maybe a point so far, but I'm also not completely caught up. I've heard that the best is yet to come in this half for me. So
Right on. I'm
yeah.
looking forward to jumping into it.
Yeah, dude, you need to get in on that. It's almost time.
It is almost time. I gotta get through a couple shows before the next season starts.
And then I've also been on I've been watching week to week Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer even though like people hate this fucking show so much for some reason.
Yeah, I don't get the hate. I understand like some of the production issues, but I don't understand like why people think like the story's bad. I'm like it's I thought
It's fine.
yeah, it's like how is this worse compared to something like mainstream and popular? Like it seems like a normal
Yeah.
anime premise.
And then of course I know both of us have been watching Call of the Night. It's hitting its stride especially right now.
Yeah, the last few
It,
episodes have been great. I saw
every
people not
time that
liking the last episode, and I thought it was wonderful.
I don't understand why they wouldn't like it. I thought it was fine. Like it really I don't know. People are weird about it be like people are weird about it in general because it's like a classical like vampire romance where she's older than him and stuff. And it's like honestly in terms of like coming from a nation that loved Twilight so much where Edward like was dying of Spanish flu in like the 20s or 30s or some shit.
Yep.
Nazuna is only like 40 years old or 60 years old or some shit like that, technically. And she's pretty much just like she's in arrested development, more or less, I would say.
Yeah,
So
I don't get those
I
at
think it's people
all.
being very prudish. It's not like like they don't even really like the most that they do is like kiss and stuff like that. It's not like Ko is overly sexualized or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. I do agree that the show could hit different if he was a little bit older, like so we could see like some of the more drinking and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I think you also have to consider that like in Japan, high school was considered like the last free years of your life.
Yes.
And Call of the Night is all about freedom and finding freedom in the night. So I think him being in high school is definitely if it was an American story, he wouldn't be in high school, I think. But just with the way the culture around high school and Amano no Owari and shit like that in Japan, I feel like it was done as a conscious
Yeah,
choice to
100%.
represent that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. And I've been enjoying it quite a bit. And then also, yeah, it looks like I'm actually one behind on Tokyo Mew Mew, so I'll watch that with my girlfriend and let you know how I'm feeling about that.
Okay.
And I also need to catch up on Devil's Part Timer second season and Isekai Uncle, so I'll probably doing that tonight.
Definitely do Isekai Uncle first.
Is a part timer not that
it's
great?
it's it's
Weren't you? Didn't you read the manga and
I
stuff?
have read the manga. I
You
don't.
didn't warn anybody about this.
No, I did. I know like what to expect. It's just I don't know. It just doesn't seem as fun as like season 1 or the manga has it. It just doesn't feel like they're adapting it right. And I don't know what it is about it, but it seems like it's a step down. Because I think I gave like season 1 like a 7. This seems like it's like a 6. Something about it is
Yeah.
just like I don't need to watch it week to week. It's
I would be
fine.
perfectly fine with dropping this while it's airing and then watching it next
And
season on it.
and then
But actually, not even next season. There's too much stuff to watch next season. Probably
yeah.
like winter or something like
So
that.
I like the dub way more than the sub for season 1, and the dub just started. I think they have
Oh,
one
okay.
episode
Actually,
out,
that might be the move because I like the dub for Devil's a Part Timer a lot.
and I watched the clip for the dub, and it's hilarious. So it's like,
Okay,
maybe I just wait for the dub to be out because it just seems
that
like they
might
have way more fun in the dub than the sub.
that might be the move actually because I remember when we watched it for Watch Club, I really enjoyed the dub
Same,
quite a bit.
same.
So, yeah,
I'm kind of because I think I'm like 4 episodes behind, and I think like at this
yeah,
point
same.
I think I'm just gonna wait for the dub.
Yep.
Yep, that's where I'm leaning.
All right, and then we got our Oricon sales charts for the week. For those of you who might be new to this, the Oricon basically measures all the volumes of manga that are sold in Japan, and I believe it might include digital as well. I'm
I
unsure
think it's
though, so
digital
don't
in
quote me.
Japan.
Yeah, so don't quote me on that necessarily, but basically just measures how popular a series is from week to week and how much they sell. So starting off at number 10, we got Aoyashi, everybody's favorite soccer manga, selling 55,330 copies. Then we got Monogatari, selling 56,400 or 542 copies. Honestly, degenerates are buying manga this week. Um, yeah, I think it's because they just announced that it was about to reach its ending,
Which
or
is
might have.
yeah,
Yeah,
if you like watch the anime, you would know where it's at in the story.
yeah, I guess so, huh? I
Yeah,
never really thought about that.
yeah.
At number 8, we got Golden Kamui selling 57,588 copies. Love to see it. Like I said, expect it to hang around for a while since it got its final push, and the new season is coming out too. So definitely will be on the charts yet again.
Yep.
At number 7, we got My Hero Academia selling 65,551 copies, petering down a little bit, but still doing pretty well. Uh, Pretty much, I assume this is all based off of its new volume, just kind of like tamping down a bit.
Yeah, I think the new volume
And
came out like a month ago.
yeah, so I mean, still good numbers for how long it's been, but still.
Yep.
At number 6, we got Kingdom selling 81,187 copies. Love to see it.
Give us an
Somebody
English publication, you
Yeah, somebody
cowards.
print this in English. Holy shit. It's absolutely insane. At number 5, we got Uma Musume Cinderella Gray selling 85,113 copies. That horse be running.
Horse girl ratio.
Yeah, couldn't stop the horse girl sweep. At number 4, we have Spy Family selling 156,740 copies. Not as much as it usually sells, but still nothing to sneeze at,
Pretty good for not
obviously.
a new volume out.
Yeah, 100%. At number 3, we got Jujutsu Kaisen selling 214,228 copies.
Big
Sounds about
boy.
right.
Big boy.
At number then at number 2, we got One Piece off the back of Film Red, selling 337,528 copies, excuse me. And then at number 1, we have Tokyo Avengers with its new volume selling 583,255 copies. Absolutely insane numbers
That's
this week,
actually
honestly.
lower than normal.
Yeah. I think the last one it did like a million in the first week or something like
Yeah.
that. I'll have to check the
Yeah,
the history of the sales
normally the new
charts.
volumes do like a mil plus, so that's not a
Yeah.
good sign if it's. I mean,
I
good.
think
It's a shit ton of sales, but compared to where
this
it's
might
at,
be its second week
okay.
on it
If that's the case,
actually.
then that's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm unsure though. And then we got our weekly Shonen Jump table of contents. We got Undead Unluck on the cover and lead color page to celebrate its anime getting announced. Then followed by One Piece, then Jujutsu Kaisen, with Witch Watch getting a color page. Sakamoto Days, then My Hero Academia, Blue Box, Akane Banashi, a one shot called Onari. It's getting a color page. It's 33 pages long by Shun Numa. We got Mashle getting a color page. The Elusive Samurai after that. Then Black Clover, which is not a good sign for Black Clover, but it is what it is. Then we got P6 after that, followed by Me and Roboco, then Mission, Yozakura Family, High School Family, Super Smartphone, Aliens Area, Earthchild, and to cap it off, we got Duran with its end chapter. Pretty typical, honestly. Nothing shifting too much. Akane Banashi went down a little bit, but I think that's mostly because there's a lot of like pretty much nothing's absent in this issue,
Yep.
and Undead Unluck is pushed up because of its cover and lead color page. Normally, it would probably be like I would say between P6 and me and Roboco, maybe above P6.
Sounds about right.
Yep. So, yeah, I think we can go ahead and move on to our recommendations. So, what are you recommending this week, Peter?
Ooh,
Non-manga stuff.
non-manga stuff. Watch the first episode of the new Game of Thrones, and that seems promising. So if you haven't checked out the House of the Dragon, check that out. I like the anime controversy because HOTD is High School of the Dead for anime. So whenever you search HOTD, you always got High School of the Dead, and now you get House of the Dragon, and a bunch of anime weebs were upset by that. So that was pretty funny to see the little minor controversy between that. I think,
Dang.
I think that's really the only thing I could recommend, like non-anime or anything like that. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend House of the Dragon.
I'm gonna recommend an HBO original as well. Actually, mine is a little bit trashier than your pick. I'm recommending Pretty Little Liars Original Sin.
Ooh,
It you don't have to have really watched Pretty Little Liars or anything like that. I haven't. I've watched people talk about it on YouTube and video essays and shit 'cause it's ridiculous. But they really went with like a horror take on it, which is interesting. It's more slashery than than like a thriller or anything like that, I would say. Um honestly, it takes place in the Riverdale universe, which is confirmed, which is really stupid. So go watch that. It's stupidly fun and honestly like it's a good time if you want to just turn your brain off and watch some trash TV.
absolutely need that every now and then. Is it? Did you watch the original series by any chance?
Uh no. I've watched people talk about it and my girlfriend has watched parts of it. Like her stepmom is like was obsessed with the original
Yeah.
show. Was like one of those like theorists and whatnot.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and from what I understand, there is a lot of references in there for the like original fans, but it's not something you would be like missing out on if you
Gotcha.
didn't know about
Okay.
it necessarily.
The beauty of not having a girlfriend anymore is I don't have to watch Pretty Little Liars anymore. So I have
Oh, did you?
I think I have 4 seasons under my belt.
Damn, dude.
Not the biggest fan. However, I stand One Tree Hill all day. That's my girlfriend show that I had to watch that I absolutely loved. Shout out to all my One Tree Hill fans.
I'm more of a Degrassi guy.
See, I watched Degrassi just by itself. I didn't need a
I
girlfriend to
mean,
watch
yeah,
that.
same. Like it's comfort TV for me at this
Yeah.
point. Also, shout out to HBO Max, like crumbling overnight, basically. Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, I saw. I'm not super familiar with it, but I did see a lot of people get upset that a bunch of shows were like getting removed, and a lot of these
Yeah,
projects that were planned are getting canceled.
the new guy like hates animation more or less, and yeah, basically they only have enough money to release two movies this year: The Flash and something else I
Black
can't
Adam
remember.
and
Oh, it was Black Adam and something else
yeah,
actually.
some drama.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you want support HBO. If you don't want to, don't. I don't really know what the take is I'm supposed to have here. But this has been chapter 11 of the Manga Melee podcast. If you want, you can follow us on social media at Manga Melee Pod. That's all one word. If you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at Shardbase. That's at Shard as in a shard of glass, and at Base as in Lil B the Base God. Peter, why don't you tell them where they can find you at?
Yeah, if you want to find me and my podcast, What Do You Say Anime? Find us anywhere podcasts are found or YouTube. You can follow me on social media. What Do You Say Annie? That's What Do You Say ANI on Twitter to stay up to date on all of our episodes and my random thoughts of anime.
Yeah, and you can also find me over on the What Do You Say Anime podcast. Sometimes once a
Yeah,
week, usually at least every other week,
like
at the
three
very
times a
least.
month, something like
Yeah,
that.
more or less.
Yeah,
That's probably about what it averages out to,
yeah,
I would say. So, yeah, go listen to that. Pump those numbers up. I also want to say shout out to all of our fans. We hit a record number of views on our last episode. I believe we had over 50 unique viewers, which or listeners, I should say, which, it doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, but to me that's like a whole classroom full of people and then some to be talking to. And to just be able to share my thoughts about this medium that I love so much, and to be able to like put people on to new stuff and learn stuff from new people on this show, it's a blessing. So I'm thankful that I'm able to do that, and thank you for joining me for this, Peter. I appreciate you filling in.
yeah, absolutely. And congrats on 50. I mean, I remember my 11th episode, I think I had like 10. So if that says anything, you just got to keep grinding and those numbers will keep going up.
Thanks, man. Well, that's also the Pete factor, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been a great episode, guys. Peace out. Thank you so much.
See ya.